Good evening, lovely people. How exciting to see you all here once again. I guess making sure all of my system is in the right place. Oh, I think the first bit got cut off. I said, good evening, lovely people. Lovely to see you. I can see that some of you are eating fish and chips, some of you are eating crispy duck, and that I'm going to be thrashed on the back of my legs with a wet cos lettuce for that. So there we go. Anyway, good to see you all. Good to see you all. I also see there's been a couple of meetups, people going shooting. It's fascinating. Thank you so much for being here and for being who you are. Thank you, everybody who contributed as well and joined in the conversation we had within the group the other night. It was really, really helpful. Thank you for your private messages, emails, comments. There was some really constructive stuff there. Thank you to all of you guys who have contributed a bit towards the financial costs of keeping it going. We've explored some new ways of producing some challenges, which has been much less time consuming for us. So we got to kind of make that fit into that box, and you know, it's all quite exciting. We'll see what we're doing. So there we are. We're all here. Belly pork ramen, eh? Sounds good. Sounds very good. I'm hungry. I've had very little to eat today. I'll soon be slim again. Anyway, good to see you guys. Good to see you. Good to see you. What can I say? Once again, you've just blown me away with all of your pictures, with your entries, with the supportive nature of everybody. Very, very exciting pictures indeed we're looking at here. If you don't know, by the way, we've got our webinars up and out into the world again. Lots of you have been booking places on them. But anyway, on the webinar page of the website, go have a look. If you've missed them, they're going down a storm and they book out pretty quickly. So we've got 6 available at the moment, I think, staggered over a bit of time, but get yourselves a seat if you want to join us. They seem to be really, really good. So why don't we just get stuck straight in and save a bit of that valuable time we've all been talking about. Thank you again for being here. You guys rock. Now, because I'm too busy talking, of course, I haven't quite got myself sorted out and ready. So let's see what we can do, shall we? Turn that one off and get our first picture to have a little look at. As always, if you don't get a shout out in this, if you don't get an image mentioned, please don't take it that it means your picture's bad or you're doing something wrong. There are just too many. I can't possibly focus on all of them. But anyway, let's get stuck in with what we have got. Some amazing things going on here. And Rob Cook, I have to speak about you first because you managed to achieve what I didn't in our challenge video. You know, a lit up clock face at twilight against the sky. I like the way you put that together too. I quite like the Starbucks logo, sort of, you know, the repeating shape, playing a very secondary role. So I think that's great. However, I do think you could have brightened the shot up a bit. A little bit more exposure might have helped, because a little bit of exposure is always good. If the light meter says it should be something, doesn't necessarily mean to say that it is. So again, straight away we're going in here, guys. Which do you think? I took the liberty of brightening Rob's picture up just a little bit. I don't know what you think. Personally, I prefer the slightly brighter one. I don't know what you think. But I just think it helps it. It gives it a little bit more of a delicate touch and brings a bit more focus and attention onto that clock face. Plus, of course, you've got a double face going on here as well, Rob, with the Starbucks logo. Well spotted, well handled, well put together. Really cool. Exposure is a really, really important part. It is another creative tool. It's still part of composition because how bright or dark you want your picture to be is all part of your composition of what that image is. So you need to get a handle on that one. Of course, my Ultimate Beginner's course can help. Those of you who've done it have already said many kind words about it. Thank you. We've got one more exposure related thing, and this is such a cool picture from Evelyn. What a great moment. How well, what a great and well captured moment. I love cattle. I just think they're the most amazing animals. They're so curious and friendly. They're absolutely amazing. I love your shot, Evelyn. I like the way you put it together. I like the sky. I like the hedge. I like that cheeky cow peeping over the top at you. It's a great moment, well captured. My own feeling once again though is it would have possibly worked better a touch brighter. Again, I've kind of taken the liberty of fiddling with your picture. I do hope you don't mind, but I just feel just that little hint more exposure, just a little bit wider aperture, just a slightly slower shutter speed or a slightly higher ISO, I think could have just brought it to life because it's a happy picture. If we were going for, you know, a more moody, darker feeling, then the lower exposure works really well. But as I was saying, exposure is part of composition. This is a happy, fun picture, and I feel a little bit more brightness, makes it brighter emotionally as well. But well shot, well captured, Evelyn. Really well captured. I really like this one you've got here too, Stephen. It's a great shot. It's a great little moment. Well captured. It's a nice portrait. It doesn't look completely sharp. Now I'm guessing that's probably a little bit of camera shake going on. A little bit of movement, slightly sharp, faster shutter speed, slightly higher ISO, and I think it would have worked. But I do like the way you have shot it. One other thing, and I'm being picky here because it is a nice shot, I do like it a lot. Had you managed to move to the right just a little tiny bit, then the bright area, which is just to the guy's right behind his ear, would have been more behind their heads, and I think it would have been a better background. I think it would have made them stand out more, having the brightest area of the shot right behind them. But nonetheless, it's a really cool shot. I really do like it. Yeah, I agree with you, Yvonne. It's those smiling eyes. It's such fun. What else have we got here? Now, here's a very brave shot, which I do kind of like, from Chidza. I like your bravery in having that lens flare going on in there, because I like lens flare. There's times when it's a distraction, there's times when it's not. This is a little strong, but I still don't mind it. I like the rim light and just the subtlety, the darkness of the features, but they're not totally silhouetted. It's a really cool little moment. I'm being picky, I'm being a harsh coach here. It's that little bright bit at the top. It's just a little bit too bright. I think possibly just tiny little tilt down of the camera. You know, I don't know how tall you are, but if you could have like maybe gone on tiptoes and tilted the camera down just a tiny bit, we could have just lost that super bright bit at the top, and it may have just fractionally reduced the lens flare. Not lost it, because I like the lens flare. It gives a moody thing. So, you know, nicely done. Nicely done. Here is a shot I'm going to be a little bit harsh on because I love it so much. Anton, this is a bit of me, this sort of stuff. I love this sort of thing. And I'm being very hard on you because it is such a well captured picture, and it's the sort of thing that I love. I find these sorts of shots really intriguing. How could we have improved it? Because you've got all the technical aspects nailed. You know, it's nice and sharp. Great control of exposure. Little things. We got that open door, and through that open door is flooding a little bit of daylight. Now the person opposite the door, their face is going to pick that up. What do you think I'm going to say, guys? How could we have seen that guy just a little bit better? What could Anton have done just to bring that guy to life? And I think it would have given us more of a focal point. Because as some of you are saying, it is busy. Glynn saying cut off the top and bottom. Yeah, you've got it. Bedraggled and Jules, lots of you have got it, absolutely. And see, guys, look what you know. It's so great. Yeah, just a little pace to the right. Or to the left. I think the right might have been better, just a tiny bit. You could have lost that pole that is covering his face. We may have had a little bit of daylight there, which I just think would have helped. Personally, I think it might have been quite cool if someone was looking at the camera, particularly if it was that guy, But nonetheless, it's a great shot, really interesting, intriguing. It's an insight into some culture, into another life, into another way of being, which is something that I really, really love. I like this shot of yours too, Dan. I can completely see where you're going. It's a great little moment. Such a hard thing to try and shoot. Again, technically, bang on. The light on your stag is really nice. Our problem is, of course, the church growing out of his head. It's a similar thing. I can't help wondering, had you moved to the right a little more and maybe had, you know, the town and the church to the side of the stag, it may have worked just that little bit better. But it's a great moment, well captured. The light on the stag is fantastic. The other thing which may have worked, I don't know, is if you could have got lower down, that would have brought the buildings and the horizon lower down as well. Maybe a combination. It's a difficult one. Composition is a dance. It's all about moving the body. Marianne just said, it's a pity you couldn't have picked the stag up and just moved it. And my question is, well, why didn't you? I know. Cool shot nonetheless. Another very cool shot. Another very cool idea, I think I should say, is this one from Kevin. You've done a lot of work there, haven't you? There's a lot of you know, digital artwork gone into the making of this, and it's a very intriguing shot. It's a very intriguing image, and I take my hat off to you for tackling that, because that's tough. You spend a lot of time working on that. Malcolm just said it looks like a Tory special. Yeah. And I know you're here, Tori. I saw you commenting earlier, so you are having an impact. It is a really interesting shot. It doesn't look to be completely sharp where the photoshopped areas are, like round the eyes. Now this sort of thing is really, really, really hard to get right. And I'm being harsh on you again because you've had such a creative idea and worked so hard to make it work. It looks a bit photoshopped. Now I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say because it's very obviously digital art. It isn't just a straight photo. It's so hard to get these things right. It takes hours and hours and hours and hours, and you have done a great job. I can see how you've tried to cut around the edge of the nose, but somehow it just looks a little too photoshopped. But great effort. Keep practicing. Keep practicing. If you want to have a look at a really great photographer and Photoshop artist, go and have a look at Renee Robin, R-E-N-E-E, and I think it might just be R-O-B-I-N. It might be with a B-Y-N. She's Canadian. She's a model, photographer and digital artist. Incredibly talented lady. Go and have a look. And if this is something that interests you, she does workshops scattered around the world. She was in the UK and I went on one of her workshops. It's not something I would do. It doesn't really interest me, but I was fascinated about the method behind it and the creative process. Google her, you'll find her. Steve's Outdoors, Northeast. I get where you're going with this. You had a good idea. You're using the foreground really well to frame the clock face, and you're using the path as a leading line. Now, I'm not sure you necessarily need both. It is well put together, and I can see your thinking. The problem here is really the light, because it's kind of the middle of the day. We can see from the shadows. It's very, very hard light. And it's sort of killing off the church tower. I think maybe you could have come a little bit closer in between the trees, with a slightly wider lens, a slightly shorter focal length, because we don't need quite so much path. Just a hint of tree either side, and maybe a bit of blue either side of the clock tower could have worked. Something like that, but the biggest thing is the light. Now, I'm not sure which way. The sun's right above, so possibly earlier in the day, or later in the day, depending of course on which way it's travelling, but really good. George says, and the clock at 12. Picky, picky, George. But I get it. I get it. Really nicely done. And I think you caught a really nice moment here as well, Diane. It's a great little moment, and it's well spotted. That little face in amongst that sea of legs. I think, I'm not sure if it was it really that red. It probably was, because I'm guessing the sun's you can see the sun's very, very low in the sky, because you can see these shadows, you know, those long, long shadows. But it isn't quite sharp. The other thing which I think could have helped a lot would be if you could have got a bit lower. I can see you have shot low, maybe a little bit lower too, so you're absolutely on child's eye level, but it isn't quite sharp. And you could have probably turned the composition to the left a bit. So moving the girl and the leg she's leaning against to the right, you've got her in a great pool of light, well spotted, nice idea. Slightly faster shutter speed so that you wouldn't have the camera shake, because that's what it looks like to me. It doesn't look like it's misfocused. But it is intriguing. It is, you know, I kind of wonder what I've just seen. Gary has just preempted what I was going to say. You know, I want to know what they're looking at. Are they just looking at a sunset? Is there something going on with the sunset behind it? It's a very intriguing sort of a picture, and it's just the sort of thing that I like, isn't it? That doesn't mean you have to just upload pictures that you think I like, by the way. I'm just looking for good photography, and I try and blend when picking out winners and runners up, you know, different genres, different styles and different types of photography, so it isn't all just what I like. Another really well executed, technically shot. I like the idea. I think you know what I'm going to say, don't you, Emma? It's a really nice idea. But there's just a little bit too much going on over the cat's face. I know how hard these shots are, because you think, I'm just going to wait, see if the cat will just peek underneath those leaves, or maybe reach up and go and sit up a little bit and look through the gap at the top. And of course you wait and you wait and you wait, and then it's gone. Great idea, great shot. It also looks to me as though the focus is more on the leaves than the cat. This is going to be the autofocus getting confused. Autofocus can do that. I have big problems with my little Fuji with this, because although I love the camera immensely, I find particularly with a longer lens, even when I choose and select a small focus area, it can get itself in a muddle, whereas the Nikon, the DSLR, is like boink, boink, boink. It seems to be able to get through tiny little gaps. I'm not saying you need to change your camera, but possibly manual mode and just kind of turn it a little bit and manually focus, because once you've got the focus where the cat is, you haven't got to worry about it. It's already there and it's set. But lovely colours, great exposure, all the technical things are really good, apart from that focus being just slightly off. This is a really cool picture as well, or it's so nearly a really cool picture. Matteo, nicely spotted, and you know, I like the way you kind of shot. I've just realised you just said you shot it on a film camera. Good on you, man. Good on you. But you know what I'm going to say? This is one of those frustrating moments, isn't it? Where you're in a busy place, you've got everything working just nicely, and then life just changes things. Because of course the person we really want to have sharp is the girl who is flirting with you at the front. Because if she was sharp with that expression, the way she's looking at you, the way she's flirting right into the camera, and then the others would have fallen back into secondary position. There's not much you could do about that. It's life getting in the way. We all need a lucky break. And this sort of photography is so hard to get right. So hard. I'm guessing you went with a very wide aperture specifically. You're on a 50mm lens. I am reading your thing now. And if it's a 50mm prime lens, then yeah, you've got a shallow depth of field. So you probably selected that to get more light in, also for a shallow depth of field. But sometimes for this sort of photography, you're better to use a smaller aperture, have a bit more sharpness to play with, because you're never quite sure where the action's going to happen. Well looked at, well done. I still like it. It's just one of those things. Where's my next one that I was really interested in? I thought this was a really great interpretation of the theme, Thomas. I really did think this was a great one. This is like, you know, not facing up to it, isn't it? Leaving flowers at the stage door rather than waiting at the stage door for the person the flowers are for to come out. It's kind of like not having the confidence. It's not quite facing up to it. And I really, really like that thinking. I love that creative thinking in there. Really cool idea. But I am going to have a go at you about composition a tiny bit. I think if we could see the top of the door, if you could have been back just a little bit or slightly shorter focal length, so we've got the whole door and it was all really square on, very graphic lines going on. And when you have graphic lines in an image, they need to be straight and all nicely aligned. And I think if there was a little bit of space just above that top door frame, maybe just a little bit more space below the flowers, because of the colour, it's almost like a spot colour without being a spot colour, because the colour's in the flowers. I don't know whether it's something you saw and photographed or something you created. Doesn't matter. I do like it. I like your interpretation of the theme. But yeah, just getting things a little bit level I think would have helped. Great idea. I thought this was another very good idea as well. Salmon chaff. It's such a simple idea. It's a very, very simple shot. You know, I'm going to say the face of the dice isn't quite sharp. Otherwise, I really like it. That yellow dice, the face of the dice, the fall of the dice, all that kind of thing. Maybe a slightly, I don't know whether the dice is on the move, whether you wanted movement. If you wanted movement and blur, that's cool, but it probably needs a bit more of it. Or if you wanted it sharp, it just needs a faster shutter speed or maybe a little bit more careful focusing. It looks to me like camera shake. But nonetheless, it's a really nice shot. I like the way you position the dice in the frame. Good thinking. Another shot here, a bit like our cat shot just now. Again, it's a great little moment, great little face peeking through the grass. But I think we've got a similar problem going on here. Michael, it's nicely captured little moment. Your 5-year-old granddaughter helping you out. This is really cool. I love that. But again, I'm not sure if there's a little bit of camera shake going on there, but of course her eyes aren't quite sharp. Now we haven't got quite so much clutter in front of her face. Well, we have over her face, but because her eyes are kind of clear, I think you might have got away with it more, but the focus seems to have pulled back and it's caught the grass rather than her eyes. These things are quite tricky shooting through things. But again, it's a well captured little moment and well done. Well done. What was that? Somebody just said. Doesn't matter. Sorry, I was looking at a comment, but I'm going to move on. Here's a. We've got another similar thing going on here. I don't really need to say much about this one. Great face, Chris. It's a really great face. But again, you know what I'm going to say, it's not sharp. And sharpness really is needed unless it's an intentional movement interpretation. Sharpness really is important. That looks like camera shake to me, where something's wobbled. Either that or a massively tight crop and it's all started to fall apart because it's been cropped so tightly, and then possibly had a bit of a filter put on it to smooth it. I'm not entirely sure, but I think another thing which could have helped this is a different expression. Cat's looking, forgive me, slightly pissed off. Now, it's one thing if you've got seriously angry cat, ears back, and it's going at you, hissing through its teeth. This one just kind of looks bored. Very often photographing animals, I find making weird noises helps. Practice that. It's a skill. It's part of photography. But you know, just kind of when a cat is looking like that, if you go at it or something like that, there's a good chance that it'll suddenly go, what was that? And you get that sparkle, that alertness, the ears swinging forwards. Graham Rogers. I get it. We've got a face-off going on here, haven't we? We've got a bit of a football tackle in the air. Nice interpretation. So hard to photograph sports, isn't it? So hard. Again, we've got a little bit of blur. It's not quite sharp. But, you know, there you go. These things are really hard to get right. When you look at the stuff shot by, you know, a pro sports photographer, they're using a great big long lens from a long way away, and that narrows down that field of view, and they can totally lose the background because we've got lots of things happening. But, you know, good on you, Graham, for sort of watching what's going on and for coming up with a different way of interpreting the theme, face off, and using a football tackle to do it. It's a good one. I like it. Oh, Graham, you're here. It's the lens. It's not a good one. Sorry. Sports is one of those areas where equipment does start to have an impact. I know I'm always saying to people, it doesn't really matter what camera you've got, just go with the flow. You know, for most people it doesn't matter, but sports is a tricky one because when you start getting the lens really long, some do fall apart. I used to have I think it was a Sigma. They call it a Bigma. I think it was a 150 to 500 millimeter zoom, but you couldn't really use it at the 500 millimeter end because it was just soft, which is a shame because when you spend money on something like that, it has to be quite a lot of money and it is expensive, but there you go. Blame the wife, she won't get me a new one. I'm not going there, Graham. I'm not going there, mate. I'm not going there. That's your battle, not mine. I'm a coward. Another nice idea, you know, face your fears. What a great interpretation. And I quite like the shaky hand going on there, you know. It's like, I don't want to do this. Even though it's a rubber one. It must be a relative of Lobby's. I like your idea. I think you could have made it a bit more dramatic with the light. Now, I don't know, it looks to me like it's lit with a table lamp or something like that. So maybe if you could have got that light a bit lower, so the shadow of the spider was going towards the hand. The other thing is maybe the angle of shoot. If it was a little bit higher, you could have lost those white lines, the curve of the table or whatever it is. It's just little things like that which can make a difference. I think it had been the spider and the hand against the white with that little highlight on the spider and the shadow going forward. Very, very simple little thing. But it's a good idea and it's a good interpretation. Really good effort. Ben. This is something I wanted to do for the video, rock face, but where I live there aren't any rock faces. But it's a good idea and I like the reflection. The problem we've got here is light. To get those reflections to pop, you really do need a lot of light. You've got lovely, lovely smooth water, but you need quite a lot of light hitting the rock face itself so it will reflect back off of the water. It's one of those frustrating sorts of shots. But I like your idea. I like the way you've composed it. It's a good idea. What have we got here? Right, let's have a little look here. We've got Diane. I kind of like it. Now, I have to be honest, right? I've got to put my hands up here. I don't know. I'm not a fan of spot colour at all. I probably shouldn't tell you that because some of you will think that means I can't use spot colour. You can use whatever you want. This is your creative challenge. I don't know whether it needed quite so much. It's almost like it's a little bit of a heavy hand. I think if you'd left the whole thing in colour, the strength and power of that mask would have carried it on its own. It's just one of those things. Let's have a little vote, shall we? I can see Moose is going, I love spot colour. Yeah, cool. And it's a lovely shot. Right, let me be clear here, Diane. Sorry, because I do go off at tangents, don't I? I'm a scatterbrained, you know what. It is a nice shot. I like the way you've composed it. I like the focal length. I like the way you're doing the hidden face thing. You know, it's quite sort of contemporary. I'm not sure it needed to be spot colour on black and white. To me, it's just a bit too much. What do you think, guys? Who likes spot? Who's more into the more natural look? I really like spot colour when it's a natural spot colour. You know, when you get a grade A and everything, all the colours are washed out and they're really, really muted. They're almost black and white. But then there's one thing that is really colourful and it's popping. Yeah, I think you've nailed it, Travis. The yellow's a bit jarring. I think, yeah, it's a bit overpowerful. But other than that, it's a really well shot picture. I like it. I'm just looking at your comments, see if there's anything I want to say. Yeah. You know, and again, as we do this a lot, don't we, guys? Just because I don't particularly like spot colour doesn't mean it's bad, wicked or wrong. It's, you've got to go with what you love, what you like. Again, these challenges are not about winning, they're about you thinking up new ways of doing things. And you know, this is what Diane's done here. She's thought up a way of doing something. She's stretched her creative muscle. She's worked out in that gym. Good on you, Diane. That's what this is all about, taking part. I really like your courage, Patrick. And I'm surprised you didn't have more people comment on this picture. There's things about it I really like. I like your courage in putting such a heavy crop into this, and the fact that we've lost most of the face. And I think you're very, very close to making it work, personally. I think it's a little bit too tight a crop. I think if you'd got that edge of the frame just inside the other eye rather than on that eye, so we just got a little hint of the nose, that might have helped. But also the background is just a little tiny bit too strong. I think you could get away with such a bonkers creative crop. But the background's a bit too strong. If you could have knocked some of that depth of field off, either using a wider aperture or a longer lens and a wider aperture, that would have had the same impact. But I also get it's about capturing little moments. But I think it's just too tight. You could have just still cropped the face a bit, but not quite that much. Good effort. Good courage. I like that. We got cheeky little face here, haven't we? Sue, again, I like where you're going. It's a very obvious face shot. I like the way you've knocked the background out, the way, you know, you've got different light, you've got separation, we've got sunshine on the background and shade on this fella's face. I think it's really cool. The only thing to me is the glasses, where the frames are coming right across his eyes. I know it's a tough one. Now, either you could lower yourself just very, very slightly, and that would line up the pupils just below those heavy rims, or it's just waiting a moment longer. The other thing that works really well doing this sort of thing is to use burst mode. If you pop your camera onto burst mode when photographing in this sort of situation, then you can kind of go, you know, you see the decisive moment approaching, or you're directing it, and then you just hit the shutter and just let it go and just bang out a few frames. Maybe talk to them while you're doing it, because that will entice them to move a bit. And then you've got maybe 10 frames of the same shot while they're moving, and you can get that perfect one, just like that. Burst is a really, really cool one, but yeah, nice idea. And I like the way you've used different light separation here. It looks a little bit orangey to me. I don't know about you guys. It's interesting. That's a real question. It looks a little bit orangey to me. Now, of course, all monitors are slightly different unless they're calibrated and that old thing again. Does it look, what colour does it look to you? It's bizarre. On this monitor, which is calibrated, it doesn't look so bad. On my other monitor, which is Quite an expensive MAC one. It's the skin colour I'm thinking, not so much the hair colour. It's the flesh colours and the background, the fence. I'm seeing a little bit of orange. That's cool. Okay, most people are seeing a bit of orange going on in there. I think this is a really nice idea, Monika. It's a very, very strong doll, isn't it? I just love that stare and the light. There are things about it I like, and there's things about it that I really don't. I'm sorry. I think the crop's a bit tight. The lady who's holding the doll, I think we could give her a little bit more breathing room, just a little bit more. I think you should go out a little bit more either side. I like your bravery in putting the subject right in the middle. That colourful, colourful doll is brilliant. But it looks like you've done something to the background, which I'm sorry, I think I've just seen in your comments you did. Apologies. I don't think doing some funny filter effects on the background has helped at all. I think it could have been a really powerful image. I think possibly if you could have got a slightly shallower depth of field just to let the background blur a bit more, or just leave it alone. If you couldn't, just leave it alone, because that doll is so strong. Because you've got blue and yellow and that piercing stare, I kind of like it. And I like the fact the lady holding the doll isn't looking at the camera, because it makes the doll even stronger. Interesting. Janet was just saying a tighter crop might work. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. There are many things that could work. Personally, I quite like a bit of space. I quite like seeing that. I'm not saying a tighter crop wouldn't. But I do love the colours, and it is very powerful. Personally, I'm not sure about the post-production stuff. I think this is another great shot. Chloe Sastry. I like the use of colours. That's what I mostly like. I like the fact that we can't see a face. And, you know, all those contradictory things in photography. We don't need to see a face to know that there's a face there. But I do like it. I think what could help, because we've got that great background colour. We've got that orange sort of trap door and that great sort of bluey coloured background. I think a little bit more room, bit more headroom, bit more of that, because, you know, we got the hat and the trapdoor working well in colours. We got nice colours. It looks a little tiny bit tilted. Maybe I've got a sensitive inner ear. I don't know, but it's yeah, it's a contemporary, interesting image, and I think a little bit more of the headroom would have really helped with it. Oh, another cow shot. Do like a cow. Again, it's great fun. Look at that inquisitive little moo cow face. It's great. Nicely thought of. It's a different way of looking at a face. It's that bright piece of sky. The light is very soft. It is very flat. I think, again, if you could have been a little bit further away, and maybe you can't do that, but a slightly shallower depth of field. Now, this is tricky because, you know, you may be beyond the infinity point and you can't really knock it off. I mean, depth of field is falling off at the stone wall. But I think the biggest problem is that bright area at the top is fighting with the cow. Stop it, all of you, right now. Ducks and cows. Cows are not the new duck. Anyway, it's that little bright bit at the top, but it's a nice idea, Ian. Nice idea. Oh, here's another one. This is something which I kind of like. Stephen. I do like it. I like the face. I like your bravery in the framing and the composition, but you know what I'm going to say, my friend, don't you? It's not sharp. There's camera shake going on by the look of it. It doesn't look to me like it's misfocused. It just looks like... Stop it! It just looks like there's camera shake. But I do like it. I like the face. I quite like the way she's sort of turning towards the camera. I like the light coming across her face. I like the way that she's so pale against the dark background, sitting outside a little cafe, facing towards the light. It's just camera shake. These are all things that, when you understand, you know, the 5 fundamental controls of a camera, there's only 5 things you need. Shutter, aperture, ISO. Shutter, aperture. Exposure controls, yes, but they're also creative controls. ISO are the scales. It's the balancing act. The ISO is what balances the equation between your shutter and your aperture, so you can choose them for creative reasons. So in this case, a faster shutter speed so that you wouldn't have camera shake and the shot would be nice and sharp. Maybe you're already at your widest aperture. I don't know. If you are, and you still can't get the exposure you need, that's when you lift that ISO up a bit so that you can get the shutter speed that you want. So, seeing as you lot are far more interested in discussing cows and ducks, instead of letting Paul Stephen have a listen to what we're talking about. Nicole Little was aughty. I like this. There are things about this I like a lot. Is this a selfie? If you're here, I'm just interested. I like it. There are things about it I like a lot. And there's one thing which I find slightly bugs me. I don't know if anyone can pinpoint what it is that I'm thinking slightly bugs me. I mean, you know, most of you know me quite well now, and you probably know what I'm going to say, and it may not be something that you have a problem with at all. I've got a huge problem. Nicole, I'm being quite harsh on you because you're good. And I want to try and help you be gooder. The collar. No. It is good. I'm not knocking it. I'm being harsh. It's the angle, it's the eye line. Yeah, Vim, got it. It's the eye line. It's the fact that your eye is just a little bit too far in. It's kind of where the eye is a bit obscured. I'm being picky. I said I was. I think maybe if this is a selfie, I don't know if you're here, Nicole. I think if it's a selfie, if you could just move that camera a tiny bit so your eye wasn't kind of quite obscured by the hair so much, it would be a bit better. But I do like it. I like it. I think, yeah, really onto something cool there. We've got another little face here. Nice one, Sandy. This one, again, it doesn't look like the focus is in quite the right place. It looks like the berries below the robin are sharp, but the robin isn't quite sharp. It's paying attention to the autofocus system. So those 5 controls again, shutter, aperture, ISO. We already had a little chat about those. Autofocus modes is another. Because although it's called autofocus, you've still kind of got to control the auto. It's a bit like saying, I drive an automatic car. Well, it's not that automatic. You've still got to tell it where to go and point it in the right direction and try not to run everyone over with it. It will do the automatic changing gear for you, but that's about as far as it goes. It's a bit like that with the autofocus with a camera. You can set it up to do all sorts of things, to track things, to follow things. There are so many options, but I would say that is one of my 5 controls that you need, because it just makes life so easy when you go, right, I want to shoot this, I need to do that. Single point, move the point, or focus and recompose. I don't care if you do it with the back button or the top button, whichever you like best. But just sort of focus, lock it in focus, and then take the shot. And do the focus in this sort of thing first. That's obvious. That was a really stupid thing to say. Do it like focus, shoot. Don't have a gap. Don't go focus, wait, wait, wait. Because as you breathe, you're going to move a bit, the robin's going to move a bit, something's going to move a bit, and then it won't be in focus anymore. It's like if you can get that focus in the right place in this situation, and then you just go focus, shoot, click, click, boom, in. Janet was just saying manual focus. Yeah, absolutely. Manual focus is a good way to go. Once you get used to using it, it is pretty cool. The only other thing is, I think you could have probably cropped in a little bit. You could have lost some of it. I like the space. I like knowing where the robin is, but I think you could have just lost a little bit from either side. Grant, I like this. I just like it. I just can't. I want to go into this garage, barn or shed. I want to know what else is hanging out in there. To me, this is just a great little bit of kind of social documentary type photography. Someone's drawn a little face in there. Maybe it was you, but it just put a smile on my face looking at that. It's just great. It's like the stuff you see on the back of a van when you're driving down the road, isn't it? Where someone's been drawing faces and stuff. Great fun. My only thing is, I don't think we need quite so much car. I think you could have made this work really, really well, probably by changing the angle that you're shooting from. If you could have got like right in front of the car, possibly, you know, looking down onto that windscreen. So let's have a look. I'm going to see if I can show you in the little inset thing. So there's the angle of the windscreen. If you could have got the camera looking down at the same angle, I think you could probably have just isolated the little face and the windscreen wiper. Because the windscreen wiper would tell you all you need to know. You don't need to see the door and the mirror and the bonnet and the wing. Just seeing that face on that grey and then a windscreen wiper at the bottom. It would be really subtle, and I think it would absolutely make it pop. I do love the idea. I truly do love that idea. I think it's great. This is another beautiful little picture, Bill. And again, tonight is sharpness night, isn't it? You got that grey, inquisitive little face, those huge, liquid little boy eyes looking up, full of curiosity. I think it's really great. I'm just seeing your comment actually. Yeah, okay. Little boys don't necessarily want to play ball. But again, it's just the focus in the eye. Because you've got lovely light, you've got a great little face there looking up at you. You know, those big liquid eyes. It's just, the eyes really do need to be a little bit sharp in a shot like this. Nonetheless, great effort. Valerie. Another great interpretation, face off. We're going to have a row. We don't agree. Really good idea. I like the way you've been super brave again, and it's so exciting watching the way this group moves and changes and watching people evolve. How brave you're starting to be, how your confidence is growing. The way you've kind of taken the eyes off, I'm not sure. It's like where we got a nose on one side, it doesn't quite work. That's what I'm trying to say, Valerie, but it's a bloody good attempt. It really is a good attempt. Trying to get these things right is difficult. The lighting is very, very, very flat, and the faces are not quite sharp. I think having a nose in one place and not in the other, I don't know quite what it needs. I think stronger light somehow, a little bit of backlight, something like that. That would really help lift it. It's a really good effort. It's a hard thing to get right, and I salute you for giving it a go, and I definitely salute you for thinking about it and giving it a go. Go and have another go at it, you know, see what happens. There's many of you, I know I've given some feedback in the past and said, you know, give it another go, and then, you know, a few days later I see you've done that in the group. Absolutely brilliant, and good on you guys. That's how you work out. Where are we now? Look, we've come to the shortlist shoutouts. These are the ones that I have harvested and put into a folder where I just go through and go, all the ones that initially just speak to me, I grab them, put them into one folder. And then I have to do the heartbreaking, painful, time-consuming job of going, which ones do I keep coming back to? So you guys are my shortlist shoutouts. There are some, I think, really beautiful pictures in here. Good on you. Here's a name we keep seeing, isn't it? Hayley. Hayley Elizabeth Buckland. What a very classical still life. Created around a face. On a mug this time. But so beautifully done, so beautifully lit, so beautifully put together. It is such a great shot. I really want one of those macarons. And I don't know what's in the mug, but I want to drink that too. I like the little bit of steam coming off it. And the only reason we can see that bit of steam is because of the light. It's a beautifully done shot. Lovely light, lovely shade, beautiful light. Now look at the light, guys. Anyone of you who's struggling a bit with light, and it is the hardest thing to get your head around if you're, at the beginning of this journey. It takes a long time to fully understand light. Look at the direction of the light. It's not coming from in front, is it? It's not coming from Hayley's side, from the camera side. It's coming from behind and to the side. It's kind of like, if you imagine my little face here, the light is sort of coming from here somewhere, isn't it? Behind, and it's kind of going that way. It's kind of coming behind and towards you into the camera. The shadows are kind of moving towards and to the side. Learn to look at light, learn to see light, look and see where things are. But yeah, good on you, Hayley. Good on you. Beautifully done shot. I love this one too so much. Sam, look at that face. It's almost a haunted little look. But also you've got such fabulous light. I really, really like it. It's just kind of like, okay, we're looking along. Yes, we got a leading line and all that, but it's not the leading line that's making the shot. It's helping the shot. It is taking us on a journey. But it's that little girl. I haven't read it. Is it your... Sam, if you're here, I'm intrigued to know, is this something you just shot? Is it a relative? Is it someone you know? Great light. Yeah, it's shot in the morning. Yeah, you are here. I can see you, Sam. Is this someone you know? Is it a shot you took? Is it kind of street photography? I think it's beautifully done. I love the light on her face. I love the wild hair. It's just someone you shot out and about. Good on you. I think it's really great. I really do. It's kind of it's very arty. The light on her face is very arty. The expression on her face. That wild hair. I really, really like it. Great way of using light. It's all about seeing, this is again, guys, about seeing light. Seeing these little pools of light. Look at her face. One side is brighter than the other. The way it's going across. But it's also a perfect decisive moment, capturing that, 1,000-yard stare. It's great. Beverly! Hello, Beverly. This is just such fun, isn't it? It's just another way of doing it. What more can I say? It's just such fun. And I like the angle you've shot this from. The way you have got Mr. Einstein peeping, I should say. I do love a peep, don't I? Mr. Einstein peeping around the corner of the other building. It would be so easy to think, I'm going to stand to the right a bit and lose the corner of that building. It's the way you positioned his eye right on that corner, and we got that wacky smiling peep going on. I just think it's a really, really cool shot. Really nicely done. April. I like this too. It's very strong. And it had me puzzling, I'll be honest with you, a few times. I love the way you've used light against black. My only constructive criticism I'm going to give you on this is that I think probably the light is a little too strong, that very, very strong nose shadow. But nonetheless, I still think it is a really powerful shot. What more can I say? If you're here, I'd love to know whether this is light you've created, or whether it's something you've seen, or whether it's a selfie. Yeah, I know what you mean, Glyn. There is a squinty look going on there, but I don't really have a problem with that, because I know there's the old thing where people say, oh yeah, don't shoot in direct sunlight because people will squint. I don't really have a problem with that. Personally, I'm a realist. If someone's in direct sunlight, they will squint. If it was like a documentary, you know, a portrait, that is a different thing. You want, you know, you want the classical portraiture style thing. It's slightly different. I do like it. I like it a lot. I think this is a really great shot here. So well caught. Such a difficult picture to take. Nice one, Colin. Using that really, really wide angle. What did you? Does it say anything about what you shot it on? Doesn't say. Doesn't matter. But using that super wide angle lens, you've got a very, very wide angle lens on. I'm guessing you are really close to your dog when you shot this. And that is what's giving it this sense of intimacy. You are on the ground. You are charging head to head with the dog, who's having such a great time. The light is great. But the biggest thing with this is being able to capture that little moment. It really takes some doing and some messing about to get it right, and you have got it right. It's a very happy, great fun shot. Well done. Oh, Graham, I think this is a very creative idea. Very creative idea indeed. And that's what this group's all about, isn't it? Coming up with interesting ideas and sharing them with everyone else. I think it's great fun. I think it's a really creative idea. What more can I say, really, than what a great idea? Apart from one little bit of constructive criticism, just a thought here. Maybe if you had the shot on the phone was just your eyes, and then you could have had the phone the other way, and so you had the eyes the same size as they would be naturally in the portrait. So we've got your mouth and nose real, but then we've just got the phone with your eyes in it. That's the only thought that I had, but it's such a cool idea, and I love your expression. I think it's a great idea. One other bit of constructive criticism: the light in the selfie shot on the phone is different to the light on your head in the main shot. If you can do this, it's a really good idea to try and do it in the same light. But I still really love it. It's the idea that I'm really excited by. There's a few little technical things I think could have helped, but nonetheless, I thought the idea was so strong. I just had to say something about it. This one sent some little shivers down my spine, really. Joanna James. How do you feel when you look at this one, guys? What does it provoke? I'm purely curious. What does it provoke? Does it provoke a feeling? What emotion would it provoke in you looking at this? It definitely does for me, and I think it's a great shot. Yeah, interesting. Just looking at some of your... Oh, that's an interesting one, Sam. Hipsim, I'm not sure. Why do you think it needs to be rotated? Because if it was rotated, then the fence post would be going the wrong way. So I don't necessarily agree. Yeah. So many different things coming up, and I can see that you're thinking about this one a bit, guys. If you haven't said anything, leap in, post some comments, because we want to hear from as many of you as possible. More littering. Yeah, makes me rotate my head too. But it is the right way up, and I think that's one of the intriguing things with it. It is the right way up. It's kind of like a lost soul, isn't it? A lost person. I mean, I've never seen a mask with a a face with a print on it like that. Whether somebody just dropped it and lost it, but it's like somebody found it lying in the path and picked it up and put it there in case they come back. I don't know if I'm just out of touch, because I often am. To me, it looks like that is a custom-made mask with it's almost like it's an in memory of someone, and someone was wearing it, and maybe they lost it and dropped it, and somebody hung it on a fence post. All I can say is this shot makes me create stories around it. I don't know if it makes you create stories around it. I think it does, looking at some of your comments, but nice shot, Joanna. I really like it, and I think black and white was a really good choice. Really good choice. I thought this was another different interpretation of mask, Nancy. Beautiful light, beautifully done. Very, very artistic, creative thought. Very creative thought. It's the lighting, I think. I don't know, I kind of get a little bit lost in this. It's so simple. We got black, we got red, we got white. Little splash of grey. Those black eyes, it's a sad picture. It is very much a sign of the times picture, but it's beautifully, beautifully lit. Again, look at the light, guys. Those of you who are struggling with light. See that brighter patch right on the top towards the back of the head? There's a little bit of light coming from behind as well as a little bit of light coming from in front and to the side. It is, I don't know what to say. I just think it's a beautifully executed shot. I find it really, really interesting. The next one makes me laugh. Barbara. I just think you really have caught something cracking there. I can see you say you shot it in the zoo. For a zoo shot zebra, I think that's cracking. The grumpy zebra. I just think it is such fun. You know, you've used a long lens, you banged that background, you really, really separated it. I just think it's really, really cool. I think it's a great shot. Perfect exposure, perfect moment, beautiful light, a grumpy zebra. What fun is that? Because we always see happy zebras, don't we? We've got a grumpy one now. Oh, it's just really, really cool. Wonderful shot, beautifully done. Now here's someone who always seems to put a smile on our faces. And I know I shout you out quite often here, but you just bring a lightness to the group and you put so much work into things, George. You also have a fine selection of outfits. You know, but you do. You put so much work into things, and I just couldn't resist it. I think it's fun. You put such a lot of work into that. It just really, really made me laugh. Thanks, Malcolm. Don't fancy yours much. But thank you, George. Thank you for bringing such lightness and putting so much work into this. You know, you are a very creative individual. We've seen some of your more serious shots as well, but I love the sense of humour and the fun that you bring to it. And and it's still a really well put together shot. Okay, yeah, it's a Photoshop montage, but look at the thought, look at the thinking that's gone into this. Look at, the version in the rose dress. Look at the position of the hands and they're looking down like that, That means there's some great pre-visualizing going on, thinking, right, we're going to have this one going down like this, looking at another one down there, Really, really cool. This is something which is really worth cultivating, is this pre-visualizing, thinking out how can I put this shot together, how can I make it work, and then okay, George has repeated all those shots. They're all in the same light so that the lighting works, and then put together that montage. It's good fun. Nice one, George. Kim, here's a lovely moody, totally different feeling. Very, very beautiful picture, Kim. Is this you? Is this a selfie? If you're here. It's just beautiful light. It's a very, very... What could be more face, What could be more face than this? Beautiful, beautiful light. Looks like it's just ordinary window light. You've got a curtain behind you. Doesn't matter. It's just well put together. Beautiful shot. Beautiful shot, Kim. I have no constructive criticism to give you. I just think it's a great shot. There's nothing more I can say. Dean, this is a great pet shot. Not pet shop, pet shot. black on black, but we've got all the different tones of black, all those different gradations of black. So it's a colour image, even though it's kind of black and white. There's a little tiny subtle hints of colour going on, you know, a little bit of blue on the collar there. Beautiful light. Beautiful light. What more can I say? It is a really well captured shot. Beautifully done. My only constructive criticism would be a little tiny bit more headroom, a little bit more room above our dog's head, but it's a really lovely pet portrait. It's something I've never managed to get my head around or be much good at, probably because I'm not that interested. I grew up in a house full of dogs, cats, guinea pigs, mice, hamsters, goldfish, tortoises, ponies, cows, you name it. My mum had them all. So it's kind of like, I grew up with millions of animals, so I'm not saying that I don't like animals, I'm just saying I've never got into pet photography, animal shots. Great shot here from you, Stephen. What a fabulous wildlife picture. What a fabulous, fabulous shot. That kestrel stare, that bird of prey stare, nicely composed, beautifully lit, perfectly sharp, nice long lens, blurry background, separating it out, very powerful, beautiful shot. I have nothing to offer. Does it need anything else? No. It's a great shot. That's all I can say, Stephen. I just had to give you a shout out on it. Totally different bird picture here, but nonetheless, I just love it. I think it's a really creative shot. We've got the elegant bird and we've got the bird that's like me, the scruffy, bedraggled one. I think it's great. Beautifully shot picture, Paul. The way you've got your shutter speed just right. You're freezing those little drops of water on the edge of the bird bath. We've got our little wet bird there. He's just kind of like going like this, shaking like a dog. He does look cross. Would I be cross if I'd just been photographed coming out of the bath? Maybe, maybe not. Great light. Again, you see the light is coming behind the bird a little bit and it's coming slightly behind the droplets, which is what's making them sparkle. I just think it's a well captured little moment, the scruffy bird. I think it's great fun. My only constructive criticism here would be there's that little something in the top left corner. I know, so difficult. I'm being ridiculously picky, but I just think it's a really great shot. And those little water droplets cascading off the edge, catching the light, they just help bring it to life. Another great shot here, Jeremy Prime. You've been getting very creative with your lighting and very moody. I think I like this a lot. So I did read your words because I was kind of intrigued about it, because you're playing with white balances here. You're mixing different colored light to get this effect. So we've got, what do we got? You had a blue gel on a flash, and then I think you said that was a torch. So you got yellow light coming out of the torch, which is lighting up your eye. Maybe it's a snooted flash, I don't know. A snoot is a thing that does that with a flash. But nonetheless, it is very mysterious, it is eye-catching. It makes you stop and pause, and I guess that's what all these shortlist shout-outs do, and some of the others as well, where I've just been harsh on you. They make you stop, just for a moment. Whether you really like it, whether you go, oh, that's beautiful, or whatever it is that floats your boat, they make you stop. And I think that is the most important thing for an image, is to just get the viewer. We're in an age of going swipe, 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 swipe. If you can make someone stop and pause just for 10 seconds, that is a major achievement. Doesn't necessarily mean being a beautiful picture, it means something that is thought-provoking, and that to me is what it's all about. By the way, oh no, I'll talk to you about that when we're done. Here is, I think, another very thought-provoking shot. Nice one by Bob Krause. Your wife, okay, yeah. So your wife's obviously a singer. But again, it's a thought-provoking shot. If you hear Bob, I'm really intrigued about... Is that a silhouette? Is that someone in front, or is that a shadow? Is it like where you're shooting over someone's shoulder? I don't know. But it is a very strong, again, another shot that makes you stop and look, makes you pause, just makes you think about it. Really nice shot. Great lighting, great moment. If it was during a performance, it's the sort of thing that I think absolutely rocks. So that brings us neatly to our runners-up in the PLD Face Challenge. Let's have a little look at what we've got here. So all of you guys, you get a free place on a webinar if you haven't already done them. Let Emma know what's what. And also, you guys who are in this set, remember to upload your images, put your images into the winners and runners-up album within the group so that everyone can go and have a look through. So here is our first one from Stephen. I just think it's great. We don't need to see the face to know there's a face there. I like the work you put into it. I like the simplicity of it. You got some lovely light. I don't know where it's coming from. Probably a window, something like that. Windows are wonderful light sources. The odd one out. I love the position you have put that little mannequin, that doll, and the depth of field. Very careful, very precise use of depth of field and focal length. So you've got a slightly longer lens going on, and you're picking out that one. The one, you know, the awkward one. The square peg in the round hole, the one who thinks different. Lovely shot. Makes me smile too. Makes me smile too. A few of you have said that, Yvonne. Another one that makes me smile is that one. Chris Bolton. Chris Britton, apologies. What a happy, naughty, sneaky, adorable little face playing in the woods. I just really, really, really love it. You've got just enough separation from the background to make her really stand out. You've caught the perfect little moment of expression. Again, if you look at the light, any of you guys who are struggling, you see the little brightness in her hair. It's because the light's coming from slightly behind and to the side. You can see the same thing reflected on the trees in that soft, slightly bokeh background. But to me, it's you've given her just the right amount of space. You caught just the right decisive moment. That hands behind her back thing and that sneaky, naughty expression. Absolutely great. Cracking picture. Nice one, Bob. We've got another of a similar ilk here from Lorraine. I think this is a really beautiful picture. It's another great little moment. A great little face. The way you've got the white background against the darker skin and the black hair, it just really works. And the light coloured top as well. It makes it so powerful. And again, you've caught the perfect decisive moment. Look at that great expression on that gorgeous little face, just laughing and being happy. It's just fab. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. I like the way you positioned it as well. That's rude. Positioned her within your frame, the way you've composed the shot. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. We got another shot here, which I think is so beautiful. Very high key look, Mike, and it works. High key black and white shot. It just works. It is such a soft, delicate, beautiful picture. You've let those highlights go right to the very edge. The angle at which you shot from, I think, is intriguing. It's interesting. It's so easy to think I'll shoot square on, face on. No, you shot from above, looking down along, and the position of the arm and the little shadow. We don't need to see all the arm. The shadow is all we need. And those eyes, it's the way the light has caught her eyes, and the high key part is letting the skin textures just kind of fade away because they're not important. It's the eyes. They just grab your attention. Beautiful, beautiful shot. I think it's absolutely cracking. Don't know what else to say. Beautiful light, soft light, coming slightly from above, and keep on the light theme for any of you who are struggling with light. Look at her nose. You see the top side of her nose is really bright. There's almost no detail there at all. And then you've got a very, very soft shadow. Very, very gentle shadow, which is just giving the shape and the texture to the nose. But it's those dark eyes. Beautiful shot. Beautifully done. And the last of our runners up is Lisa. This is another one that just makes me laugh. Fantastic piece of light. Great face. Now, okay, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I do like a hen. I do like a hen. And I know how unbelievably hard they are to photograph, because we had a bunch of them outside my place that we used to just let them run around. You know, they used to come inside. They'd come up the steps and come inside, and there'd be a little in my office, and I'd look down, there's a bloody hen in here. And I'd give them a flying lesson off the doorstep. They used to enjoy that. You just pick one up and just gently, not throw it in the air, not hurl it, just gently sort of throw it a couple of feet up in the air, and they go flappity, flappity, flap across the garden. And they'd form an orderly queue and come back. I'm going off on my hen tangent. Photographically, this light is gorgeous. The way you've captured the profile, this hen in profile looking straight into the light, and that light coming straight back is giving those wonderful textures, gorgeous colours, perfectly sharp. Love the way you've composed it. Love the way you've composed it. The positioning and everything. It is such a strong picture. Gorgeous colours, beautifully done. Beautifully done. Best hen picture I have ever seen. I really think it's a cracking shot. Which brings us to this week's winner of the PLD Face Challenge, which to me it's a statement image. It's a very strong and powerful image. To me, it really is a very strong image, and it is a statement as to the world today from Patsy. I really, again, it's like, is it a beautiful image? No. Is it something you'd think, I really want that on the wall? I don't know. But it's striking and it's powerful, and the way you've shot it, the angle from which you've shot it. Right now we are being dominated as a race by something that's going on out there in the world, and I think you have really managed to capture that in this. The slightly low angle makes it menacing. The fact we can't see the face. It is such a sign of the, somebody just wrote that, who wrote that? Sign of the times. Very artistic. Well spotted, recognising this light. I don't know if you're here, Patsy. I don't know if you set this up and you lit it yourself, or whether it's just something you saw. It doesn't matter either way. The angle you shot from, the line where the background is going through the yellow-orange mask, right through the head. It's just a very domineering, powerful picture, and it's something which, yeah, it's not a beautiful picture. Pictures don't have to be beautiful to be powerful, and that's what I think. I think it's a great shot. I really do. I think it's a lovely shot. It's striking and it's powerful. Congratulations, everybody, for your amazing entries and perseverance with these challenges, and I hope you have found tonight's feedback session to be of value and to be useful. Something I just want to mention here, which is, I don't usually mention it, website called ClickerSnap, and I expect some of you possibly have been there or used it. I am a small part of the management team. ClickerSnap is a photo sharing platform where you can sell images, where you can get paid just to have people view your images. If somebody pauses long enough to look at a picture, ClickerSnap knows, and it gives you a little share of the profits. ClickerSnap is still quite new, but it's growing. It's growing quite fast now, and now would be a very good time if you wanted to start putting your pictures on there. Now, of course, you need to tell people about them. You need to go there yourself. ClickerSnap isn't like Flickr, where everybody knows about it, and Flickr has had billions of pounds invested into its creation. ClickerSnap is still very much a child in this world, but that child is beginning to grow up, and if you haven't looked at it for a while, I would recommend that you do, because it is starting to grow and the quality of the imagery is amazing. You guys are producing amazing images, so it would be great to see some of you on there maybe. It's not something that you'll make a lot of money out of at the moment, but who knows, one day if it has revenue streams that Tom hopes it will achieve, well, who knows, you might come out at the end of the year with $200 or $300, $200 or $300 no one else is giving you. Right now you might come out with $10 or $20, still $10 or $20 no one else is going to give you just for having your pictures viewed. Anyway, enough of that. Thank you once again for being here. The next challenge video will be going up pretty soon, probably in the next 10 minutes or so. We're doing this one very slightly differently because, as we discussed a couple of days ago, I and my guys Paul and Emma have been looking at ways we can reduce our costs in running PLD and still give you great value and something of benefit, whilst you guys have been brilliantly stepping up to the plate and making some incredibly useful suggestions, and a few more of you started to contribute. Once again, I want to underline that the reason we want to keep this donation based rather than switch it to a membership is because some people go through some tough times. I had an amazing email from someone who is quite active in this group earlier this week, whose business has had to stop because of what's going on, and when you're trying to make ends meet, we want you to be able to just go, right, no, can't do it at the moment, and then when better times come along, well, go on then, bung a few quid in if you think it works. But thank you all for your patience, for your understanding, and for your contribution in all ways. So the next challenge is going up. I hope you find it of value. I'll be interested to see any comments in the group. I'm quite pleased. Take care, enjoy the next challenge, give it your all, and anyone who's watching who hasn't been entering, who hasn't been participating, please join in. This is what it's all about. Don't be shy. There are several people who I have seen in this group who said originally, I can't compete, I can't do this, I can't put a picture up on here, how can I compete with that? And then they started doing it and they've gone through the roof. Join in. Take care, my friends, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Best wishes.